If you can only train twice a week, should you train full body? Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would answer this question for you guys and gals. So this is one I get asked a lot for some reason, and it's always kind of a puzzling one for me because I'm like, who really can only train twice a week? That seems a little strange because even my busiest clients, I just want to be upfront, my busiest clients in the world who have very intensive careers, long hours, families, still train 3 days a week. We just manage to get it into 40 or 45 minute sessions. So to be honest with you, I would say for most people, if you are training less than 3 times a week, you are not going to see optimal gains no matter what you do. I'm just going to be frank there. And 3 is really pushing it, right? And it's only 3 because people are busy. All right, they're busy and their recovery and everything may not even allow for, optimal volumes. But back over to the question itself. Assuming you really can't squeeze some other lighter workouts in at home, with some dumbbells or body weight movements or something, which you really should do in this case, I would strongly advocate that. Let's come over and ask the question. Should you train full body? And I know a lot of people do that because they're hung up in the frequency thing. They're like, well, we should be training a muscle twice a week. Yeah, but there's not evidence to support that at this point. That's an old hypothesis that I and many other evidence-based people worked off of from some preliminary studies, done like 15 years ago. And the more current data has shown that frequency isn't really that important unless it starts getting really, really sparse-spaced out, right? You start exceeding, about 8 or 9, 10 days between training a muscle group, yeah, you're going to have problems. Especially start getting towards that 2-week mark. That's very difficult. But barring extremes like that, it's not that important. In terms of hypertrophy, it is overall training effect, volume, which muscle fibers get recruited, recovery. So we need to be clear. When you understand that, the answer is probably no unless you're a novice. Now, why would it still be okay for a novice? Well, simply put, novices don't need much training volume to see good muscle growth. They're probably going to be doing all big compound movements. And again, their workloads are not going to be that high. In other words, you do 3 heavy sets of squats for a novice, it's probably not very much weight. Their overall systemic fatigue is not going to be that high, okay? And so therefore they can get away with some full body programs. To keep in mind, even for a novice, we're usually only doing 3, 4, maybe 5 exercises in a workout, okay? Is that really significantly different than what we're doing on a split? Okay. You guys usually see me do about 4 or 5 exercises on a workout plus abs, right? The only exception might be a little more if I have arm day thrown in. So from that perspective, they're not doing that much. So let's say they're doing 4 exercises at 3 sets each. Okay, their fatigue's not that high. And again, they just need to be working big movements. Novices don't need much in the way of small exercises or refinement. Big movements can get them really, really far. Squat, bench, deadlift, row. Maybe throw some curls or something in, or an overhead press. If they're strong enough, some shins or some extra hamstring work. Something like that, okay? Very, very simple programming, usually linear programming. We usually write novice programs at 3 days a week for full body. So going to 2, it's not going to be optimal, but they'll still see really good gains. In other words, if a novice just follows a proven 3-day program, full body program, and takes it to 2 days because that's what they can get into the gym, they're still going to see good results. They're going to see good results. All right, if you are no longer a novice, I'm going to say no, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. I would say at that point an upper lower. Why? Because you can't squeeze enough volume in to get good gains. In other words, the workloads on your squats and deadlifts or things like that, your leg work, your workloads are high enough that the work that you need as the minimum amount to see muscle growth is going to fatigue your upper body by the time you get there. Okay? So in other words, you're going to struggle to recruit upper threshold muscle fibers, especially towards the end of the workout. Okay? Maybe not your bench press. So let's say you do all your lower body stuff, then maybe you get bench in. By the time you start trying to row or do shoulders or curls or anything, those ladder exercises, you may be struggling to stimulate much muscle growth at all because your fatigue is so high through your system that your nervous system may not recruit the fast twitch muscle fibers at all. So you may be working off intermediate type fibers. Well, what does that mean? It means it's going to limit your growth to those muscle fibers that tend to grow less and less the more advanced that we get, right? The more advanced you get, a larger percentage of your muscle growth is coming from fast twitch fibers, to the point where if you've been training really hard 5+ years, probably, and you're not on anything that helps reset some of this, no magical supplements, if you guys catch my drift, then almost 100% of your muscle growth is coming from your fast twitch muscle fibers. That's, those ones that handle the heaviest loads, okay? That's what's you're growing. The other stuff's probably not growing significantly anymore. So here's my point. You get to be intermediate, you probably should go to an upper-lower split if you can only train twice a week, okay? We just accept that that's the case. And there's not much you can do about that, because if you try to keep doing the full body, you're going to grow less. Whatever you train in the last half of the workout's going to grow less. Now people say, well, couldn't I do upper body first and lower? Well, then your lower body may not grow. Okay? I want to be clear here. Your upper body may not grow on the one you do the other, and then the lower body may not grow when you reverse it and do upper body first. So if that's what's happening, it doesn't really make sense. You probably need to start splitting stuff up a little bit if you can only train twice a week. Otherwise, you're going to have major areas of your body that are going to start lagging. And again, people say, well, couldn't I just reverse them back and forth? So you're doing wasteful workouts. In other words, if you know probably only about half of your body's going to be able to get a good training response, just train that half of your body. So it makes sense to just go to an upper lower instead of saying, well, I'll do lower first on this day and then upper first on this day. Because again, whatever you're doing last is getting shortchanged. Just go ahead and train it thoroughly all the way through once a week. And if you're an advanced lifter, just forget making any progress. The odds that an advanced drug-free lifter, a natural lifter who is advanced, training only twice a week, you're pretty much at maintenance at that point. If you're only training twice a week, again, I know some people will argue with this. I'm going to say you are most likely going to see almost no gains. Okay? You're maintaining what you have until you can get your life situated to where you can train 3 or 4 days a week. And again, you might make some small progress, but it may be much smaller than you would make on a little more training. And it's because our volume needs get higher. Our ability to recruit, again, those muscle fibers we're talking about, you're trying to train half your body every time and squeeze all of it into one workout. Something's going to start getting shortchanged once you get advanced. Because again, you can know what you're not reaching those fast twitch fibers necessarily in the stuff you're doing last. Okay? So at that point, you shouldn't even be trying to only train twice a week. You're going to need to find a way to work some other stuff in through the week. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.